into Gabby Williams, got hit in the forehead, and it caused 2 black eyes. And you can still see some of the remnants of them, and now she's sporting the bloody lip. She is as tough as they come.
Lexie Ho walked into the game against the Chicago Sky with 2 black eyes and left with a busted lip, yet still delivered one of the grittiest performances of her career. But it wasn't just her toughness on the court that lit up the headlines. It was what she revealed after the game that has every fan buzzing. Indiana's ability to dominate Chicago through adversity shows why the Fever aren't just sneaking into the playoffs. They're redefining themselves in real time. In Lexie's post-game words, they might just be the defining quote of this entire playoff push. Calm and fired up for the Fever if you're riding this wave, because if this was just the beginning. Indiana's about to make serious noise. Let's go.
That's a W. Made it out. All you gotta do is keep making it out. Woo! Dubs!
How do you win when your superstar is sidelined and half your roster is held together with tape? That was the question hanging over Indiana the moment Caitlin Clark announced her season was officially done, just days before the regular season. Wrapped, Clark went public. "I had hoped to share a better update, but I will not be returning to play this season." The stubborn groin injury she'd been battling since mid-July never healed the way she, or the Fever, hoped. For weeks, fans clung to the possibility of a comeback. But when the announcement hit, the air got sucked out of the room. Hope collapsed, and Indiana's entire playoff chase had to be rewritten on the fly.
Caitlin Clark released a statement saying this: "I had hoped to share a better update, but I will not be returning to play this season. I spent hours in the gym every day with the singular goal of getting back out there. Disappointed isn't a big enough word to describe how I am feeling. I want to thank everyone who had my back through all the uncertainty. This has been incredibly frustrating, but even in the bad, there is good. The way the fans continue to show up for me and for the Fever brought me so much joy and important perspective. I am so proud of how this team has only gotten stronger through adversity this year. Now it's time to close out the season and claim our spot in the playoffs."
Head coach Stephanie White didn't sugarcoat the situation. It's frustrating. All the injuries that she's had, White admitted, pointing to Clark's tough summer. The groin issue wasn't just lingering, it ran out of calendar. "We ran out of time to be able to do it in a safe way, in a safe manner," she explained, making it clear that Clark's long-term health mattered more than forcing a late season. Gamble. General Manager Amber Cox doubled down on that message, reminding everyone that Indiana wasn't about sacrificing Clark's career just to chase one game in September. Still, the decision gutted Indiana's depth chart. Strip away Clark's playmaking, McDonald's burst, Cunningham's toughness, Carlson's veteran minutes, and BB's range, and suddenly the Fever's margin for error was gone. Every possession felt heavier. Every substitution came with risk. Yet Clark never looked like a star hiding from the moment. On the sidelines, she was locked and standing, clapping, high-fiving teammates, barking encouragement in every huddle. Even when she sat, cameras found her locked eyes, still orchestrating with her voice. For Indiana fans, it didn't matter if she was in sneakers or street clothes, her leadership was still electric.
End of the day, she's been working her butt off to be able to get back, and we've kind of run out of time to be able to do it in a safe way, in a safe manner. And I think we've all been very open and upfront with her long-term health and wellness is the most important thing. And to be in a position that you need to be in to play at this time of the year, we just ran out of time to get her there.
The Fever were clinging to 8th place, barely a step ahead of the Los Angeles Sparks. One slip, and they could tumble right out of the playoff picture. Survival became the theme. Could this short-handed roster hold steady long enough to secure another postseason berth? Could they compensate for a missing superstar without losing belief in themselves? It didn't feel like a basketball problem anymore, it felt like a test of will. And with that uncertainty swirling, the build-up to the Chicago game became its own kind of pressure cooker. Forget glamour. This was about toughness, execution, and resilience for Indiana. That crucible didn't break them, it lit the fuse. The result was an explosive response against the Chicago Sky that redefined their playoff chase.
Yeah, I mean, it's frustrating, number one, just all the injuries that she's had. Obviously, I wouldn't speak for her, but and the amount of work that she's put in to position herself to be able to play and then to, have to ultimately make this decision. There's disappointment. There's the obvious frustration that's come with not being healthy really for an entire season. But ultimately, I think the big picture is the most important thing, and those are conversations that we've continued to have. And the message has continued to be that it's not her long-term health and wellness and her being 100% when she's ready to go is the most important thing.
What does 97-77 really mean when you dig deeper? It's not just another 20-point win on a box score. If you followed the battles between these two teams, you know it's much bigger than that. Indiana didn't just beat Chicago, they owned them, sweeping the season series 5 straight times by an average margin of 24 points. That's not competition. That's domination bordering on humiliation for Chicago. And that's the real story. A matchup exposing just how far apart these franchises are right now. You'd expect a team with that level of control to be cruising in the standings. Not Indiana. Coming into this game, the Fever were hanging on the edge of the playoff bracket in 8th place. Only one game ahead of the Los Angeles Sparks. That's how fragile it was. One stumble here, and they could have slipped into dangerous territory with the pressure mounting game by game. Instead, they flipped the script, channeling all that uncertainty into their most commanding performance of the year, right at the moment they needed it most.
The newcomer in Bree Hall plays tonight. Boston on a kick out. Mitchell. Oh, she's hot to start. Mitchell finds Dantas, who rolls and lays it in.
Kelsey Mitchell led the charge, just like she has all season. She poured in 20 points and dished out 8 assists, directing the offense with total confidence. This wasn't Mitchell hunting shots. It was her striking the balance between playmaker and scorer, setting the table for teammates while still getting buckets exactly when Indiana needed them. Right behind her was Natasha Howard, delivering a complete performance with 18 points, 7 rebounds, and 4 steals. She gave the Fever a two-way spark, bullying defenders in the paint, while snatching possessions away on the other end. Her combination of inside scoring and disruptive defense didn't just add to the box score, it shattered Chicago's rhythm.
Mitchell, will she add to it? Whips it back for Dantas. Kelsey Mitchell putting on a show here in Indy.
Look at the spin on the ball. Just one dribble over the head pad.
Mitchell's been brilliant on a kick out to Howard. Mitchell bouncing. Howard, the left hand.
And then getting a stop on the defensive end. I know Coach Stephanie White is happy with her team with that.
Mitchell being hounded by Atkins, trying to shake her. Mitchell bounces inside, and Howard gets the roll.
And it didn't stop there. Indiana put 3 more players in double figures. Proof of just how balanced this attack has become. Odyssey Sims gave them instant offense and steady guard play. A reliable spark in the backcourt rotation. Aliyah. Boston, as steady as ever, anchored the paint and looked perfectly comfortable carrying a bigger share of the load, without Clark pulling defensive attention.
Here in the first half. Oh, it's Howard finding Sims, who finishes tight quarters. Howard backing in on Williams. Little shake and bake. And the fadeaway.
Even Aerial Power stepped in with valuable minutes, adding scoring punch and non-stop energy that kept the Sky on their heels. For a roster already thinned out by injuries, that kind of depth was no accident too. Was proof that Indiana's success wasn't just about one hot night. This was a team flexing resilience, showing they could plug holes and still overwhelm an opponent when it mattered most.
She is the team's leading scorer with Angel Reese not available. Oh, lob it inside. Boston spins and finishes. So far in the second half, it's been one step forward, one step back for the Sky. Boston turns the corner.
The stat that told the real story,
banks it home,
27 assists to just 9 turnovers. That's peak efficiency. And when you remember that Indiana has been juggling lineups all season, it becomes even more impressive. Nobody was forcing shots. The Fever trusted the pass, trusted each other, and punished Chicago every time they slipped out of position. The Sky had no answers, possession after possession. Indiana turned ball movement into high percentage looks, putting the game out of reach long before the final buzzer. And here's why it mattered. This wasn't just another win to pad the record. This victory gave the Fever control of their own playoff destiny. By sweeping Chicago out of the way, Indiana had all but secured a postseason berth. Then, with results breaking their way in Seattle and Golden State, the door to the 6th seed cracked wide open. That's not luck, that's momentum.
Hands there by Williams. Petty. Powers. Through traffic and is able to finish. Powers going behind the back on Bannon. Muscles her way to the rim, draws the foul, and flips it home. And one Powers.
So yes, Indiana won by 20, but step back and the sweep, the playoff positioning, and the balance across the roster tell a much bigger story. The Fever didn't just beat Chicago. They dismantled them in every category. What they showed was that their identity isn't tied to one superstar. It's built on resilience, grit, and execution from top to bottom. And right in the middle of that identity came one performance that nobody could ignore. Lexie Hull didn't lead the game in scoring, but her battered, bloody Warrior performance became the story fans walked away talking about. What's tougher, logging minutes with 2 black eyes and a busted lip, or delivering the post-game words that had Fever Nation hanging on every syllable like scripture? That's where Hull stole the spotlight in a game already defined by toughness. She came in still marked. From a collision with Gabby Williams a week earlier, both eyes darkened, the bruises telling their own story. She didn't hide them. She walked in with them, ready to battle. And then, as if the night hadn't tested her enough, Camila Cardoso caught her across the mouth in the second half, splitting her lip. Blood, bruises, pain, none of it made her flinch. Lexie Hull stayed on the floor, locked in, refusing to give Chicago even an ounce of satisfaction.
Watching these players.
Here's Michaela Timpson checking in for her first minutes and banking it home.
That refusal to sit down told you more about Lexie Hull than any box score ever could. When the roster is gutted by injury, when Caitlin Clark is stuck in street clothes, and when Sophie Cunningham, Klopai, and Ari McDonald can't even make it through warm-ups, the only way forward is toughness. Hull lived that message. She didn't ask for sympathy. She laced her sneakers tighter, wiped the blood off her lip, and gave Indiana the kind of minutes that define who they are now. Punch. Back. Play hard. Don't retreat.
Powers bouncing. Hull. Oh, had it denied at the rim. Oh, looked home free, and I think...
And the wild part, all of this is happening in the middle of the best season of her career. Hull isn't some role player filling minutes. She's producing across the board. Points, rebounds, steals, assists, all career highs. She's already shattered her previous best from deep, drilling more than 53s this year. That's not luck, that's growth. The kind of step forward season every young player dreams of. And it couldn't have come at a better time. Because for Indiana, it's not just about the numbers she's putting up. It's about the way she's carrying weight the roster can't afford to drop.
They just got to get into their sets a little bit quicker.
Here's Hull off the Boston screen. She hits. And Indiana is...
I love the way that she's been able to elevate her game.
The youngsters out of South Carolina, who both are having strong seasons, as Indiana has opened up 3 for 3 with Lexie Hull.
Her teammates and coach see it too. Stephanie White put it plainly. Hull epitomizes what the Fever want to be, resilient and fearless. And that kind of praise isn't tossed around lightly. It's earned when you play through pain, throw yourself into defensive possessions, and refuse to let a game slip away. Ask anyone on the roster, and they'll tell you, Hull sets the tone. And it isn't just one night of heroics. It's the consistency of her effort, game after game, that holds Indiana's defense together. Yes, her shooting has leapt forward, but it's her defense that acts as a glue. Against Chicago, the Fever needed someone to hound guards on the Perimeter. Disrupt rhythm and break offensive flow. Hull delivered. She wasn't faces. Contesting every trip. Taking elbows and shots to the body and absorbing it without blinking. The numbers back it up. Indiana's defense is measurably better with her on the floor. Why? Because she bothers scorers, she communicates, and she never takes a possession off.
Points here tonight at 14 minutes off the bench. Turner gets inside, kick out. Holu buries a three.
After the win, reporters asked Hull about those black eyes. She smiled through the bruises and gave the kind of answer that becomes a team's heartbeat. Every day we fight for our injured teammates, she said, turning the question about her face into a statement about the Fever's spirit. It wasn't about pain, it was about purpose. We play for each other, healthy or not, and every lump, every bruise is proof of that fight. That single quote wrapped everything together. Hull became more than a player having a career year. She became the living symbol of where Indiana basketball stands right now. Tough, unselfish, and unshaken by adversity, and the contrast couldn't be sharper. Because while Indiana built a culture of resilience, their opponent across the floor in Chicago was unraveling in public.
Steph mentioned, whenever she sees you with the two black eyes, she smiles in a way because it just exemplifies your toughness. Do you feel tough in these kinds of situations with these two black eyes?
I mean, that's what people keep telling me. Every time she sees me, she smiles and then she says, "I'm so sorry." I'm like, you don't need to be sorry. This is what it is. And when I'm playing, like, I forget about it, and then I go and look at the mirror. I'm like, oh shit, he's still there. So yeah, I don't really think too much about it because I don't necessarily feel them all the time.
Yeah, and you're still able to see completely fine.
Yep.
All right.
Nothing's changed.
All right, perfect.
What does it say about a team when they're missing 5 rotation players and still control their own playoff destiny? Indiana answered that against Chicago. The math was simple. Tip-off began with the Fever barely hanging on, just one game, ahead of the Sparks in 8th place. But by the final buzzer, the story had flipped. Indiana's blowout win, combined with LA's stumble against Atlanta, launched the Fever into 7th. Not by luck, by force. Now it isn't about clinging to the edge of the bracket. It's about climbing. 6th place is suddenly in play. The tone has shifted from survive to advance.
Resilient, nature of our team. I think one other thing that sometimes goes missed is just the character of these women, right? Especially this group that's been here, that's gone through all of this, and then the ones that we've brought in with O and Che and AP. I mean, these are women who care about winning. These are women who care about one another. These are women who sacrifice every single.
The significance can't be overstated. Indiana's sweep of Chicago wasn't just about bragging rights. It rewrote the record books. That 5-game demolition now stands as the largest point differential in league history between two franchises. But it was more than humiliation for the Sky. For Indiana, it was a door flung wide open. The win locked in the Fever's 2nd straight postseason berth. Something unthinkable just a few years ago for a team buried at the bottom of the standings for nearly a decade. And they did it without Caitlin Clark on the floor. The timing couldn't be better. With Seattle dropping must-win games and Golden State facing a brutal stretch, the playoff path isn't just open, it's widening. Indiana didn't need outside help, but they'll gladly take it. In a race where every margin matters, every stumble from the competition makes their rise that much louder.
By rough count, the Fever have beaten the Sky by 12,000 points in their 5 games this season. I'm not perfectly sure on that number, but it seems correct as they smack the Chicago Sky yet again. Basically, they've already been in a good playoff position, but cement a hold on a playoff spot.
Kelsey Mitchell was brilliant once again. Lexie Hull, playing through a busted lip after already enduring black eyes from a knot on her forehead, became the living symbol of Indiana's season, battered but never backing down. You had players on crutches and in carts before the game. Caitlin Clark officially ruled out for the year, and all the reminders of what could have been. But what is speaks even louder. The Fever smacking the Sky every time they meet and now standing on the edge of a playoff spot almost assured. Credit Stephanie White, who saw this coming. Since July, her message has been simple. Every game is a playoff game. That mindset hardened the group. No one was watching the standings or circling the schedule. They were showing up each night with postseason urgency, and it's paying off. This playoff berth isn't just about entry into the bracket. It's proof Indiana isn't a one-player operation. They've built toughness, balance, and trust. That foundation has already solidified into something bigger, an identity that survives without its superstar. Now imagine layering Caitlin Clark back onto this group once she's healthy. What feels like resilience today could very well be the first chapter of something far greater.
And once again, Lexie Hull playing through a busted lip after she's played through black eyes, which came from the knot on her forehead, which, you know, is sort of exemplifies the Fever season, the way they fought through things. You got all players on crutches and carts before the game. Caitlin Clark unfortunately ruled out for the season. It makes you think what could have been, but what is a smacking for the Sky whenever they face.
Brooms out. Get the brooms out. I got my dustpan handy. We sweeping up the Chicago Sky. They are toast. They are done. We gonna hold on to our broom for this entire blog. Listen, the Indiana Fever just absolutely smoked the
Indiana didn't just clinch playoff control with their 97-77 win. They redefined what this team stands for. This wasn't about one star dragging them forward. It was about toughness, depth, and a roster refusing to fold despite missing 5 key contributors. Sweeping Chicago by an average of 24 points sent a clear message. Resilience is the Fever's identity, and let's be real. It's even sweeter knowing Angel Reese was sidelined, suspended after picking up her 8th technical foul. While Chicago spirals into chaos, Indiana is building something stable, something real. If the Fever can dominate while patched together, just imagine what happens when Caitlin Clark returns to a foundation already built to win. Comment fired up. For the Fever, if you're riding this win, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on all notifications so you never miss a moment. Click the video on the screen, and we'll see you in the next one.